Hey folks, welcome to the 30 Days to Learn Adobe After Effects course. My name is Vincent Nguyen, and today in this lesson we're going to be discussing the different types of camera views and perspectives within After Effects. So here in After Effects, I have a very basic scene set up. I'm actually utilizing some of the things that I discussed in the previous lessons. So here I have a flat 2D background, nothing more than just a plain solid with a ramp applied to it. And then I also have a 3D floor. Notice how my 3D switch is turned on. And it's just rotated 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees in the X rotation. So I kind of flipped it around flat. And it just has a nice kind of blue tint to it using a ramp effect as well. And of course, a basic light to kind of light the whole scene up together. So in this demonstration, I want to put or place a text onto this floor here. So to do that, I'm going to create a new layer, text. And we'll just type in 3D text. We'll make it a 3D layer. And notice how it's black is because the light's not really affecting it right now. So we'll hit P on the keyboard to bring up the position, and we'll try our best to place this thing onto the floor. So as you can see, it's kind of hard to see where the floor is exactly and where is it relative to our text. Is our text on the floor right now, or is it on the floor now? You can't really tell until you kind of cut the text apart, and then you realize, okay, this is where the floor is, right about here. And then we can play around with the z-axis and place it on our floor, and that's kind of okay to do. It's kind of acceptable, but sometimes you need to be more precise, and we want to have different kind of angles or perspective views to see our 3D scene. After all, we don't want to see our 3D scene in a 2D environment, which means we're just seeing it flat. We want to see it at different angles here. So one way to do that, as you may have already guessed, is to create a camera. So if I create a new camera here, and we'll just leave it at default settings, call it camera. We can use the orbit tool, hit C to rotate through the tools here. You can use the orbit tool or the different types of camera tools to kind of navigate around, and as you can see, I just have a very flat floor here, just a plain solid. And as you can see, we can rotate around and kind of view all the perspectives of our text and our floor and our 3D environment here. So this is a really nice way to kind of observe and just kind of see all the different types of angles and views of your 3D scene here. And that's pretty nice, but sometimes you may not want to use a camera. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit too simple to use a camera, and so let me just shut that off. And I want to introduce you guys to these two little window panel drop downs here. So over here we have different types of camera views, and these don't really require a camera. They're not actually using the actual camera in your scene. They're just kind of different viewing angles for the default camera viewing on After Effects here. So for an example, we can view the front, which is just plain out flat the front here. You can see our text is right here. So this is just showing the angle of the front. We can see the angle of the left here. So if we really wanted to place our text onto the floor, and we want to make sure that our text is actually on the floor, we can go to the left or right angle even, and just kind of place our text on the floor this way. And this is kind of like a wireframe of our whole scene here. So as you can see, if we move our text up, it's up here, and if we want to place it on the floor, we can just drag this little green handle down the y-axis and just kind of place it on the floor as best as you can. And of course, you can do it manually with the parameter values here. So this is just a really handy way to see your whole scene in a different perspective in a more simplistic way, and you can get some fine adjustment and positioning by switching your different types of views here besides the active camera. The active camera is kind of the default view of your whole composition scene here, just by default. We can change it to many different views. We also have custom views here, which just shows you different types of camera views at different angles. So just a really nice way to easily navigate and observe your whole scene in a different perspective. Now that we already talked about different types of perspectives and windows and all that such, it may be helpful that you may want to use or see two different types of angles at once. Maybe you want to see the active camera, and you also want to see the left side. We can do that by going to this little panel right here, and we can select the different types of views we can have. We can have four-way views here, and as you can see, we have the top, active camera, front and right. We can switch to maybe even two views stacked on top of each other vertically, or we can have horizontally here. I usually do horizontally just because it's easier for me to compare this way. And of course, you can treat each of these windows as two separate composition windows. So you can zoom in specifically in this one, but leave this one zoomed out, etc. So, we can just do different things for different composition windows. Or maybe you want this view to be something else. We can go and change the view from here, from top to maybe left. So now we have active camera and left. Maybe you don't want the active camera, maybe you want something else. We can click on the active camera window here and change it to top. So now we have the top view as well as the left view. And again, these are just many ways to observe and just view your 3D scenes in a different manner, so you can adjust them more precisely and just make your edits. And it makes a lot of things easier when you're animating stuff and animating the position, rotation. You want to see all the different angles that you're able to tweak and easily manage all your 3D objects in your 3D scene. So this has just been a really quick overview of the different types of perspectives and camera angles views within After Effects. So this lesson really marks the end of our core basics kind of lessons. So now we're going to kind of move away from all the boring, really basic stuff, and we're really going to move into the more technique stuff, and where we're going to be creating a little bit more stuff and showing you some more cool options and more advanced options within After Effects. So boring stuff is over. We're going to start moving to more of the fun stuff now, so really stay tuned for that. If you guys have any further questions, don't hesitate to leave me a message in the forums. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And once again, guys, my name is Vincent Nguyen, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye, guys.